to. Pat, welcome to the NorthSide, man.
How you doing?
I feel like it's been absolutely years since we've seen each other. And what I'm absolutely loving about this podcast is my ability to reconnect with people that I haven't seen in forever. What are you up to? Tell the people what you're up to, man.
Nothing much, man. Living the family life and just doing my own thing, relaxing, and just keeping it, the way it is.
Yeah,
living life pretty much, man.
Trying to stay
trying
positive.
to be positive, doing the right thing, and all that jazz,
Dude,
and trying to be positive and not think about all this crap going on. But whatever, anyway.
Yeah, man. I'll tell you this. I had a crazy Facebook's rant the other day when I went on to someone that I know. Well, I have a Facebook, they're Facebook friends of mine, and they posted something on their Facebook, and I went to town on their post, and just because, at the same time, it's just, you don't want to watch people say things and then not voice your opinion, because it's,
a lot of people, that right now.
A lot of people have stayed quiet for so long, and now it's time to allow voices to be heard. And it's not really about aggressiveness. It's about enlightening people and allowing people to share their truths and share their stories. And that's what the podcast is all about, man.
Yeah, man. It's information, right? A lot of people, are not educated out there or whatever, right? But at the same time, the more people know, thinking positively is going to change something. But at this point, it's it's pretty sensitive right now, and a lot of people have a lot of things to say, but
I want to read something that a mutual friend of ours sent me the other day, and he's like, hold on, let me pull this up here. God damn it, phone's lagging on me. But essentially it was about understanding that when you debate someone online and you have to put so much effort into it, you're not going to get anywhere trying to enlighten someone who is not ready to open their mind and enlighten themselves.
Of course, it happens all the time. It happened to me the other day, and I kind of was like, you know what, man, I don't want to get into this because it's just gonna go on forever. And I've had messages of mine where they have said, you know what, my list of my friends list is gonna shorten in the next couple of days, and true friends are gonna come out through all of this.
Dude, we're gonna have this is gonna be a very interesting moment in time where you're gonna start seeing your friends posting some interesting shit, and you're just like, really?
Oh yeah, man.
That's how you think.
It's like, you know what? And then people saying, "Oh, it's a matter of my opinion." Yeah, I have an opinion too. Then why are we arguing? I realize I'm going to that level, and then that's why I've been like, you know what? I understand what's going on, and it's bad enough for me to sit at home, and the worst part about it for me, in my experience, sit at home and talk to my kids and watch them watch that stuff or see that stuff without even me trying to expose that stuff.
Yeah.
And they see it everywhere, and I sit there. My son had to ask me the other day, like, what's going on? I'm like, oh, it broke my heart to just explain it to him.
Man.
I didn't know what to say, but at the same time, I can't lie to him, man.
And that's the thing is that, now parents who have kids are now talking to their kids about things that they were planning on talking to their kids about at some point in time, but now it's just being forced into their face, and they've got to make a decision on how to approach it.
And I've noticed too, with the homework that they get now, all of a sudden 2 days later they get this stuff from online schooling, right? And all of a sudden the sudden change of the homework now, and then one of his homework that it just popped out the other day was about was a native, or the indigenous people, and there's things to read about, and then they have to read an essay, and then all of a sudden social studies came out. All of a sudden that was 8 weeks of nothing about social studies, and all of a sudden, boom,
we need to talk about
let's talk about this now. I feel that like reading about that too is like if people read,
Yeah,
they're gonna
you gotta educate yourself, man.
you gotta educate yourself. You can't just
And
I
you
started
can't
to argue.
judge.
Yeah,
The whole argument that
yeah.
I got into with this guy on Facebook was about his ability to judge people for what they're doing right now by rioting, by looting. And I said to him, listen, you know, you look at these people and you see cowards, because the content was like, the group of black guys, they looted a white lady store and they ended up roughing up the white lady. And and at the same time, I wasn't telling him that that action was right. And what
Mm-hmm.
I was saying to him is like, you can't judge these people for what they do, because the action, if you don't, if you judge the action and you throw away the everything that led to the action, then you're not taking a full glance at what's really going on here. Of course,
Mm-hmm.
when you see, small business owners gets looted, nobody wants to see people lose what
Yeah,
they
no, nobody
built.
wants to see that. Yeah, yeah, exactly.
But when you see people who have built up anger and rage and pain and they now are letting it go, people don't care who gets it.
No, and seeing that stuff, it's being the more you see that on TV and the more it's televised, and I'm starting to like realize how come there's all this negative stuff about what people are like out
Yeah.
there rioting and doing this stuff,
Yeah. It's different,
but
man.
nobody realizes that's not the whole information. Like
Yeah.
people gotta stop reading into that too as well.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Information the way that it is there are pieces to it. Like we don't understand exactly what's going on.
yeah.
But yeah, dude. So the coolest thing, right? So the greatest thing I want to like introduce you to Pat for everyone who's listening who doesn't know Pat is my first sous chef. Pat is my very first sous chef.
The fun days,
And
the
those
fun
of you
days, man,
and those of
fucking fun
you
days.
who will watch this podcast and know Pat know exactly who he is, and we're going to try to explain who Pat is as a person, and just kind of talk about some of our experiences. And the one thing that just blows my mind, and I look back to our days working in the restaurant that we did, I'm not going to say which one it was. Those who know will know. But dude, the one thing that I noticed when I worked there was that we didn't have a strong disconnect between front of house and back of house. Like, it's the first restaurant that I've ever worked in my entire life that the front of house staff and the back of house staff, with exceptions of a few people who were just there to do their own thing,
Yeah.
were a cohesive unit. And now that I've worked in other restaurants, I'm finding that that is not a thing. Like I'm hanging out with kitchen staff and they're looking at me like, bro, what are you doing here?
No, you know what? Like, I missed that, man, because to be honest, that place was kind of like my first, like, being felt like it was kind of, it's so cliche, family, I guess.
Yeah,
Like,
absolutely.
it was my second home, man. Like, and like, that's where I met my wife. Well, before that, actually, I worked with my wife there, like,
Yeah.
before we got married and stuff. I mean, I still have friends from that place. I
Me
still
too.
talk to people. Like,
The
you know
craziest
what I mean?
thing
Like,
is
that
I
is the
started
only
working there.
place.
Yeah, go ahead. Go
If I
ahead.
look back, that's the only place that I have a strong connection with people with. Like, all the other places that I work with, I had some people here and there and stuff like that, and it's
Mm.
great. But like that place was like, it felt like my second home for real. Like,
I think a lot of us thought that, to the crazy part is to this day, when I come back home to Toronto, I try to reach out or find other people from that spot and hang
mm-hmm.
out with them. And it's so fun and so cool. It's like nothing ever was missed. And that's the only place that I've ever worked. And think about it. I started when you first met me, I was like 16 turning 17.
Yeah, buddy, you were young. And I was fucking crazy.
I was like, to
But
think
yeah,
of like
besides that point.
16 turning 17. And there's a whole bunch of people that I'm working with, and I still talk to those people. I still reach out to those people. If any one of those people want to come on this podcast or they just want to hang out with me, I'll never say no. I'll
Oh,
never
for
say no.
real. That's good. That's a strong connect. That's a strong bond, and because like that's history, right? Like that you know them. Like you've
Yeah.
shared those moments with him. still stuck with you till this day. So that's a good thing, man. Like
Oh
at
man,
least
so many hilarious moments. And I think that whether and you now look at a lot of the other restaurants that I've ever worked in and finding that front of house and back of house just not part of the whole team. You know, it's so strange because after work, I'm so used to after work getting together with the whole team as a family.
hmm
And when I move forward to other restaurants that I worked in, it's like, okay, the bartenders are out here doing their thing, the servers are doing their own thing, the
right.
support staff is who knows what the support staff are
Yeah,
like. But it's
exactly.
just so disconnected in the industry right now.
Disconnected it. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And then you know what? I've gone from the restaurant into like I went away from that and I went back. Hi, Annie. I went back to was that to cooking into like catering, and then
Mhm.
from catering went to like being on independent and privately owned and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But like, I mean, back in the day, I remember like just you know front or back, it didn't really matter who you were, and I missed that kind of bond. And I didn't. Then I stepped away from that. Now that you're working on current restaurant life, I guess, and
Yeah.
like the difference from what you say of like how everyone's disconnected. It's kind of
Oh
unfortunate.
yeah.
Like some of that stuff can you can't really like pass that because you see those people every day. You know what I mean? Like
Well, and that's what I
any
say. Like,
any other job really, but like I don't understand. I don't understand it. Maybe I guess because I've been
listen,
out of the game for so long,
I will
right?
say to anybody who knows us and worked with us, uh,
That was my daughter trying to
uh,
ease my attention, get my attention.
oh,
Sorry.
we've already had a cat make an appearance on this
Oh
podcast
really?
already. Yeah, we had a cat make an appearance.
Oh, you'll probably see our cat or two here. There's a chihuahua somewhere, four cats, and a turtle. Oh
Oh
yeah.
wow.
If I lived in like in like a 2 acre um property, I'd have
Uh.
every other animal out there probably. My wife will probably bring it all home. Trust me.
Dude,
Oh yeah.
if anyone's watching this right now from our like time working together, I would say that what you guys have taught me is that it is, you know, the cohesive unit of working together and working as a team.
It's important.
Dude, so
It's
important. So
communication, right? Like
so important.
sometimes when you realize when you work in the back of the kitchen, you have to be a unit. You have to communicate, and,
Yeah.
and it's amazing how that comes in full circle from the beginning to the end of service. And it's like, yeah, it makes you feel good, man. It's very stressful, man. Because some people won't listen to you, but you make sense. But there's a lot of that. But
Yeah,
like,
man. I spent a lot of time just like working like the a lot of the work that I did in that kitchen and just getting my start there and then moving on to other places and working in other kitchens. And man, it's a lot of work. Like people don't really realize the work that goes into being not just a restaurant in whole, because a lot of work goes into the restaurant, but people don't realize what's happening in the back. Like people don't
yeah,
realize how much work goes in, and that's why when I work front of house in a restaurant, I have so much appreciation for my guys that work in the back of house because I know what it's like to be back there.
I do. I think some people shouldn't work in front of the house, and
Yeah,
some people shouldn't work in the back of the house,
yeah.
vice versa. But what I've learned, I can't work in front of the house, man. I I
It's
I, I just have like this clumsiness to me that it will probably ruin everything. So, but I do appreciate like people who like sit there and have to deal with people and have to like pretty much serve them. I don't know, man, but
I
like
have to listen
that's
to
a
people
difficult
and ask them
task, man.
questions.
That's a difficult task, and some
Yeah,
people
I
can't do
think
that.
I think not a lot of people can make that transition to be able to work front of house and back of house. It's two different sets of skills, and you got to be like a superhuman to be able to do both of them.
I think that it's easier for a back of the house person to go in front of the house,
Mhm.
but for me, I can't do that. But I've seen enough. Most of the people I've known that who have gone from back of the house to front have
Mhm.
succeeded. I'm only one of the few that would not succeed in that, to be honest. But yeah, man, it's I think that's the
Dude,
easiest
I
route.
worked I worked in a restaurant where I remember so I worked in a restaurant and they lost a couple of their cooks. So they were super low on back of house staff. And one of the coworkers that I knew who also worked at, our restaurant who brought me into this restaurant.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, like, well, Rashard knows how to cook. He's worked in a kitchen before. So at that place, I was like working front of house and back of house. Like I'd come in morning, back of house, middle of the day, get changed, put my blacks on, and then go work front of house and just doing everything all the time. And it's not hard. It's not easy. It's super hard because especially when you transition, because your mind's in that back of house focus where you're just like, all right, read these tickets, structure out what I'm going to do, and then execute and try to keep a low ticket time while working with other stations so that we can
It's
deliver.
almost like a game.
Oh yeah.
Sometimes, sometimes I treat it like as a game, but I've seen like people like who work in front of me who are in charge, and they're like all freaking out, and I would sit there. To be honest with you, now that I'm out of there, but to be honest with you, I've seen those people freak out, and I've done purposely just sit there and like watch them freak out and kind of slow things down, and I'm like, but at the same time, like I miss that, man. Like the
Oh,
stress, the
listen, if
stress,
I would
I
say
miss
for
that.
anyone who has not worked in a restaurant, you need to do it at some point in your life. You know, even if you have the money and you don't need to work, take the time and work in the restaurant industry because you will get a certain type of rush from being in that fucking
It's
chaos.
not even that. I think it teaches you like to be organized, like really organized.
Yeah.
Like I noticed that now I'm not in the restaurant like industry now, but like
Mhm.
I'm trying to be staying connected with like cooking at home and connecting with like groups and like cooking groups and like
Yeah.
and stuff like that in Instagram or whatever. But um but that whole experience of being in the kitchen kind of gives you that confidence. It gives you confidence. And it gives
Mhm.
you that organization that you can actually use in other jobs. Like I noticed that in my job, I
And
can do things like
creativity.
yes, exactly, and then I can do things five things at a time at work. I can like organize myself to like kind of do it, just like
Mhm.
how I would see the ticket and how
Yeah.
would I would see like what table goes out first and whatever, what can you rush and whatever. And then
Yeah.
I've seen people struggle with that, and then I've noticed. I asked them, have you been in a restaurant? Been in the back of the kitchen? Do
Yeah.
you think this is chaos? No, man.
Dude, I
Like back of the house
remember
is more chaotic.
I remember one time I worked in a kitchen where I didn't work in the kitchen. I was working as a server and we were fucking slammed. And my GM is trying to make sense out of everything. So I walk into the kitchen and I go up to my GM and I'm like, listen, I'm going to take you and I'm going to remove you from this situation because you clearly don't know what the fuck you're doing.
Yeah, man.
So I organized out the whole kitchen. I got the back of house like just I'm looking at my grill, my saute, my fry, my salad. Like I'm getting everybody on point. And I'm still serving tables at the same time. Like I'm still serving my tables, which is absolutely ridiculous. And I kick my GM out of the kitchen and because he has no clue what the fuck he's doing. And a lot of that comes from the experience of what I've had in the past, and we're going at it. And what really is happening is like you're looking at your tickets. You're looking at your tickets, and you're saying, okay, well, I have this item, and this item. I need to make sure that when we're ready to plate, everybody's on the same page.
Hmm.
And that skill, that organizational skill that you can develop working in a kitchen is transferable to anything. And if you can master it, like, you can do anything, I find.
Well, it kind of gives you that sense of like freeness in your mind where you have to create something, and it forces you to like think, and it forces you to solve your problems. Maybe not in a sense of like quick way, but like an organized way, I guess, and not through chaos,
Yeah.
through like you know.
And
So I don't know, just my opinion. Where
you have a very little bit of time, because
time, yeah,
yeah.
quick problem solving, like
Well, the
quick witty
restaurant
problem solving, I guess.
the restaurant that we worked at, our goal was 15-minute tickets, right?
Yeah, something like that, or 10
Yeah,
minutes or whatever.
10 to
It's been
15
so
minute
long.
tickets.
Yeah.
And you got to structure out. And one of our friends, she knows who she is. When I work with her, and you know who she is, and I'm not going to say her name until she comes on this podcast and does one of these, and then we'll figure out who she is. She knows exactly who she is. She runs a tight ship. No matter where she goes, she aims for that 15-minute ticket, no matter what. You know who I'm pretty sure you know who I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm. Maybe. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
know who I'm
Yeah.
talking about.
Yeah. I probably know what you're talking about.
And she aims for that 15-minute ticket always. And working with her is such a pleasure, because her sense of organization and structure and what she wants you to do, what she wants you to accomplish, is like she wants everyone's like on the same page. She runs a
Mm-hmm.
tight ship, and I love working with her. She almost pulled me back to working with her at another restaurant that she worked with in the kitchen. And I almost did it because I love her. She's one of my like.
I miss working in the kitchen, to be honest, man. Like
Yeah, it's
here and there,
exciting.
like it's exciting, man. Like I miss that whole camaraderie and like the whole after work kind of deal, and
Yeah.
like like just all the fights and
Oh, there's so
arguments.
much. Yeah,
Even
so much.
those are fun,
It's
you know.
weird. What people don't understand is like, it's the weirdest thing about being in a restaurant is that you'll work on the line with someone and you will fucking yell at them and cuss them out in the middle of the shift. And then
I
at the
think
end of
I've done that a couple of times. Yeah, I think that I've done that a couple of times. I remember one time that was an awesome day. Actually, that was an awesome night where a certain somebody just didn't agree with me with anything that I was doing. I was like, whatever. It didn't really bother me, but at the same time, back in the day, I was kind of like trying not to pay attention to it, but it was hard not to pay attention to that.
yeah.
But like totally doing what the opposite person's doing and looking at everybody else going, "You're right, but he's wrong," and
Yeah.
can't do anything about that, but unless like you say something. So, but I said it in a different way, like in a very like open to everything, to everybody, open concept kitchen, and like guests are like looking at me, go, "What the hell did that just happen?" But at the same time, but like, yeah, man, I kind of miss those too.
Yeah,
But
because
yeah,
it's a show. It really is a show.
yeah, and then like you see like other shows on TV, and I'm like, that actually happened to me once, you know. Like I don't blame myself. That was actually fun. You can learn
Dude,
whatever.
I'll give you a real fucking story. So this is after you left. I transferred from our location to another location.
Right.
And yeah, I think you had left by then. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. Because by then, when I transferred, it was all good and stuff. And then, to be honest with you, I never really told anybody, or maybe a few. I actually have. Anyways, but like, I lost my passion, right, from
Yeah.
that point on. I haven't lost it now because like I love food and all that other stuff. Now I'm doing other things with food. And anyway, that's another topic
That's
to talk
well,
about.
listen,
But
we have a platform and we'll talk about that.
yeah, man, and like I lost my passion in that. Yeah, when I left, it was like when I left that whole in like not the whole industry, but like the whole like being in back of the house type scenario and like being in that kind of environment, I lost all my passion. That's probably why I went on to like catering,
Yeah.
and then I found my
Also,
freedom
fuck
in that.
catering. I hate it. I hate it. I
But
did it.
mine was different though.
I
Mine was
did catering. I fucking hated it.
yeah. See, a lot of people have said that to me, and I know a lot of people like hate catering. But
Hate it.
with mine, it was so stressful for like half of my day, and then the other part of my day was like, okay, Pat, we have this, this, and this, and this. Let's cook something.
Yeah.
And then it was like that kind of freedom almost. And it was like we tested everything, and then we created menus, and like we had like yeah, it was the freedom of that, and that's
Listen,
probably why I went
freedom.
from that
Listen,
into
freedom
like in the
and creativity is like what the
yeah.
restaurant industry is about, and like I think the rest of the world needs to understand that and be free and be creative. Dude, when I was so to continue with that story was like I left where we were and I transferred to a different location, and I remember coming into the new location and working, and I worked with when I first got there they had me on the cold side, so salads and desserts. And I
Yep.
remember learning from our same friend who, she is the greatest. She taught me so much about the entire back of the house at the restaurant that we worked at. And she taught me how to do a lot of things. And
Uh-huh.
she taught me like the way to do a lot of things. And I took that with me when I went to that new place. So I'm sitting down in the back. I'm sitting down and we're in mid shift. We're in the middle of a rush, and this guy is just the worst human being ever. He's talking trash to me mid shift, and I'm looking at him, and I have this sense of like I have this sense of confidence and arrogance behind me because I know the person who taught me how to do these things was right.
Uh-huh.
Like she is absolutely a person who takes her job, whatever she does, so seriously,
Uh-huh.
and she wants to make sure that she spreads information accurately. So she told me how to do something, and I'm here doing it. And this guy's looking at me and he's talking shit. And we are about to have a fight. Like Pat, a fight is about to go. And the company that we work for, they have this open concept kitchen that they love to go with.
Oh
And it
yeah,
was
yeah,
and we were about to throw down.
that
And
would have been
and he's like, listen, and he was so like, you're talking to a guy who was like 17 turning 18,
yeah.
plays like I'm playing basketball, rugby, I'm playing soccer in high
You were a
school.
pretty big kid when I met you.
I got a little bit bigger. So I'm like in
Yeah, I
shape.
noticed that. I shrunk. I'm slowly shrinking. I'm slowly shrinking. The Asian is catching up to me, man. I'm slowly shrinking.
So this kid's trying to fight me because he doesn't like my cooking techniques, but I know that what I'm cooking is based on what the company wants me to do, because the person who taught me how to do this initially taught me based on company policy.
Yeah.
And I'm doing the whole thing, and there is like this guy is like, oh, he's talking all types of trash. He is just going at it, and he and I
Going
are
off.
getting, oh man, getting ready to throw hands. And then I'm thinking to myself, you are a fool, because not only are you wrong, because it like if we throw down right now, we bring it to our boss. This is what I'm doing. It's right. I don't know what this man over here is doing. It's on another level. And people don't realize is like there is a lot of ego and and personal energy that goes on in that kitchen. And like when you watch some of these TV shows and you see those egos collide, that's real shit.
Oh yeah, yeah. I've seen people like I've walked in a scenario where like nothing is working in the back of the house. Like completely. Your first foot you step in, it's like no one's even saying hi. Like like to a point where you just feel the stress as soon as you walk in.
Yeah.
And I've experienced where people just I don't want to talk, I don't want to work with this person in the back. So you got to tell them to do something else. And I'm like,
Oh,
dude, man, like seriously, like fuck off. In the back,
yeah.
like in the back of my head, I kept saying, fuck right off and shit like that. Where you have to like, you had to like kind of like finesse yourself, finesse your peace amongst the people in the back of the house.
Mm.
Like I found myself going to this person. Okay, dickhead, this is what's gonna happen. Blah 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 blah. No words, nothing. You go to the next person, and it's like, okay, listen. I know what you're saying. Let's go for smoke, man. Like calm ourselves down. Blah
Yeah.
blah blah. And then you go to the next person. Like, hey, I realize what's happening. I understand you're worried and all this other stuff. It's kind of, and that's the other thing when I was saying, like, it teaches you how to deal with people as well. It's like, and like, you know how certain people react. That's why it becomes your second family. And that's how you start. It's like your brother or your sister, right? You're starting to realize that you care more about those people more than you care of the people that you have at home sometimes. Like when you come home, all you're thinking about is those fucking assholes in the back of your head, at the back of the house, going arguing, and then all of a sudden, you know what? At the end of the day, you see those people every day,
Because you're a leader.
and then
You're a leader.
yeah, and
That's
then you know, and then when I see that, when that happens, it's bad. But at the end of the day, from my perspective, behind the scenes, what people don't see, it's like after that whole argument of that day, after work, what do kitchen people do? Really do? They go down the street in the bar and have a drink,
yeah. Well,
and
I
it's
mean, what you're
and
talking about is like the sense of true leadership is that when you're a leader of a team, right? You go out there, you lead your team, and then when the time comes for the day to be over, you still think about your team.
mm-hmm.
You still think about what you can do to better your team and make your team more successful.
Yeah, of course. You're always trying to improve yourself or improve like the camaraderie in the back of the house because without that, really, it's like you
Like
know,
if I'd say if anyone's watching this right now who works in a back and who's currently working in the back of a house of a restaurant that is apparently not open and will hopefully be opening soon and
hopefully, man. Yeah.
things will get back to normal. But if you're working in the back of a house and you're saying to yourself and you're looking at your team and you see no camaraderie, you see no synergy, is that you got to get that synergy there and everybody needs to be on the same page and we all have to work together because that's the only way that you can produce good food and execute within a timely
I
fashion.
do remember though, like I mean, I do remember like in the back of the house is where like different cultures, right? Especially in
Yeah.
Toronto, it's like different culture. I remember like being back there and all of a sudden you like guy back there would come up with like something. It's like, yo, my mom eats this stuff. I just brought it home, but I made it in the back like 10 minutes ago. Here you go. I miss that shit, man.
Yeah.
Like like
Everybody
uh,
like everybody taking an opportunity to
yeah,
improve
man.
their
And then
culture
I see front of the house coming in the back. Like, hey, what is that? Yeah,
yeah,
man. Like, here's what I made this like 10 minutes ago, and it's like, and then people forget food brings everybody together. Like,
absolutely.
and it and then I miss that kind of shit, man. Like I remember just sitting there, you're in a different kind of uniform, but you're sitting there eating the same food and stuff like that. And that shit is great. People forget about that crap. And I
Yeah,
miss
man,
that
dude,
kind of shit.
there's so many things that goes on in that environment that people don't realize is actually happening. And, you know, it was a really big learning experience for me at that time of how to not just organize myself, but structure out my day. Because
Mhm.
when I walk in and I look at, okay, what do my inserts look like? And what do we have in reserve? And what do I have to prep for the day? And it was a really big eye opener of like, you need to prepare for your day.
Yeah.
Because if you're going to
Yeah, of
be
course. Yeah.
successful and execute what you need to do throughout the day, you need to prepare for it.
That's probably why I do the things that I do at work because like as soon as I get to work, I need to do certain things before I do it.
Yeah.
Like before I step in, it's like that preparation of like I'm pretty sure everybody does it, has their own way how to prepare, but like the way I still do it till this day is the same way I would have done what I've learned from the whole kitchen life.
Yeah.
It's like I always tend to map out things just like, okay, this is gonna take 5 minutes. It's
Yeah.
like if I do this now, I don't have to do that, then that will be ready. By the time I'm done that, this would be ready. Same goes in the kitchen. That
Yeah.
salad's gonna be out. that steak's gonna be done in like 10, 15 minutes. I can bring this out by the time in 5 minutes is done, that steak will be done. You know what I mean? Like that whole organization of like putting
and
different things
communication.
aside, and yeah, exactly. I still do it. I still do that same thing in my job now. It's totally the
Because yeah,
different
if
industry, but I still go back to that whole mentality of kitchen, I guess.
because the
You
the
know?
one thing that I learned is that if you're working with a whole bunch of people and you can't communicate to them effectively what you're trying to do and what they need to get done to help you, then
Yeah.
you're not going to be successful. Like if I have a station and I prep X, Y, and Z, and you have a station, you also prep X, Y, and Z, but the Y's that we both have are similar, then one of us can say, listen, I'm gonna prep this for your station if you could prep this for my station, and we'll like
Yeah, it's the
focus.
whole communication, man. Right? It's the whole communication. Just exactly what you're saying is like if I'm doing this now, you can use that later time. So let me just do this for you, so you don't have to do this kind of shit now.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Like that whole being ahead, like that teaches you too, and like and then there was this program. I don't know if you remember in that whole kitchen shit when they
yeah.
sent you away. It's kind of like so corporate, fucking sit down or whatever crap, right?
Yeah, I
But
did. So
anyway, but
I did. So I did it. I did the online version of. So there's two parts of it where you do the online version, and
yeah,
then they
I
send
did the
you
old
away.
school ghetto version where it was like, yo, let's go out in like this place and kind of hang out in this classroom, and then let's go have drinks afterwards, kind of deal. Like,
I
yeah, man,
did the version where you do the online, and then after the end of the online, you're supposed to go away. I never got to go to the second part of it, which
right?
frustrated me. But at the end of the day, it is what it is. Neither of us work
Yeah,
there
yeah, yeah.
anymore.
So I did that whole thing, and if you look back, and it's like, okay, this whole thing of like giving somebody negative, like no constructive criticism,
Yeah.
and then leaving the conversation with a positive, and it's like, huh, I kind of do that now with my kids, just to teach them like, okay, you're doing this wrong, but you're doing this awesome.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you're doing this the right way. Like, okay, then put our energy towards that negative, and
What
like
you're
kind of
saying
like,
is restaurant people make great parents.
well, I guess so. No, but yeah, man. No, but
They got
you
more
take that
patience.
whole exercise, I guess, in your brain and kind of relate it to your life, and yeah, man, it's some of the stuff that I got sent to, and then it kind of sat down and like, this is what's gonna be,
Yeah.
and then some I believed in it, and some I was kind of like let it brush by or whatever. But like, yeah, you learn experiences, right? You learn something from your experience, I
Well,
guess.
there's a whole like basket of skills that you can pick up by working in a restaurant, I find. And uh like if there's any guy, if you are a single man watching this right now and you want to impress a woman, go work in a restaurant for like 6 months and go work in the back of the house. And there are some guys back there that will teach you how to cook, not just the food from what you're serving in that restaurant, but the food from their culture. And then you
I,
can take that and go on it. Like, you don't even need to go on an expensive date to impress a woman. I find that if you can bring that woman over to your house and show her what you can do in the kitchen and teach her what someone has taught you, game changer.
those are one of the things I miss. It's like being back there, and then somebody like teaches you. It's not just like the food that you make. It's the culture back there, and you learn how to like to taste different palate, like I mean different flavors and stuff. Your mind opens up, and you start to realize there's more than this corporate food that you're cooking. Like I've
Yeah.
worked with people like who taught me how to like cook Jamaican
Yeah.
food, who taught me all these things, and like, and then from that it's like I learned how to do certain things and like eat differently than other people, I guess. But like
Yeah.
being open minded with that culture is so great. And it's food is food, man. Food is great.
Food is
I don't
amazing.
I don't understand how you can like block yourself from different cultures and not open your mind with different ingredients. And you know what? And
Absolutely.
that's why I so believe in like this whole trying out all these cultures and tasting these different foods and different type of like different cultures is
Absolutely.
the best fucking thing in the world, man. Like I've never known like this goes with that, you know? I've never known this shit. Like this stuff that I get sent to, like the other day. We'll talk about this stuff another day, but like man, you just opened your mind, man. Food is great. Like and then
Well,
like I miss that whole learning from different people. That's the
yeah.
main thing for me, man. Like it was one of the those are the main things that I really miss is the people
Oh,
behind the kitchen. It's like
because you work with a lot of great people, and you're in very close corners with those people. It's not like the front of the house where you have your section and then you can go to different POSs to ring in your food, and you can interact with whoever you want to throughout the course of your shift. When you're in the back of house, you have a specific area that you are designated to, and you are interacting with those people throughout for what, 6, 7, 8 hours, and you can't leave.
no, no, you can't leave. Like your end of the shift is not really your end of the shift. It's
Yeah.
like it's like really you can't. You can't. You maybe have something to do, especially like as a sous chef or like higher up or whatever in the kitchen. You have like no life, man. Like to be honest with you, like
I
okay,
remember.
like hey, finish this up. But the way I did it though, it's like I didn't really take it seriously. I guess I
I
gotta
had
be
a
honest.
great time. I got a
Yeah,
great
but I
time.
had a great time doing it. Like exactly, I had a great time doing it. But like I had a way of doing it. It wasn't finessing it. It was more like I don't know, man. I didn't take it that seriously. I had fun,
Yeah.
and at the same time having fun. I learned.
I will 100% to attest to that. That the first shift that you and I worked together, I had a great time, and I remember it. I'm never gonna forget it. I'm,
I remember people would be like, "Okay, there's a new guy. Yeah, you got to do this, buddy. You got to do that, buddy." The way I would do it, they're like, "Hey, you smoke or something? What do you do? Let's go. Fuck this shit. Let's go. You're gonna stay here and learn it anyway. Let's fucking go out for a smoke first.
you're,
Let's go. You know,
you're anyone who watches this is gonna have a great flashback memory
like
of that very
seriously,
moment.
man. Like I've seen people like kind of sit there as a new guy, and I'd be like, okay, you got to do this is how you do it. People go away, be like, hey, what's up? I'd be like, what? Go out back. Go out back. Let's see who you are. Like, let's see who you are, and let's see how I would deal with you. It wasn't more about like it wasn't more about like who the fuck is this guy? Like, how am I gonna deal with this person? You know, like learn from me. It wasn't even hate. I did it differently, man. I really did it differently. Like
Listen,
I was
everybody
more
that
into that person. I was more into that person. What they offered. It wasn't all about skill to me. It was just like, okay, how am I
listen,
gonna make you do it the way that I would do it?
I mean,
You
that's what,
know,
like, once
like
again, it's important to be able to understand people and what they can contribute to society.
I can't just tell somebody what to do.
And then
I really
exactly,
truly can't.
exactly.
You really can't.
You
You
can't
really
tell
can't.
someone what to do, but
You
you
really
can
can't. I learned
learn,
that from the kitchen, man. I learned that from the
who they
kitchen.
are, learn who they
Learn who
are.
they are. And then if you notice,
Yeah.
like the guy in the center of it all talks to every person different.
Dude,
You
I
know, it's like
remember that shift.
it's so different, man. It's so different. And you gotta take it seriously. You can't. You
yeah,
really can't. But
dude,
if you're
that,
like different scenario, right? Like different environment, obviously. Like, but
wait,
if we're talking specifically that kitchen,
yeah.
like okay, there was serious times, but to be honest with you, it was like oh bullshit.
Well, I think about
Have
everybody that
fun.
we worked with at that time, and we all had good focus when it was time to get serious, and then there was also good focus when there was also good times when it was time to have fun.
It was the only place where I could take my personal friends and invite them into my kitchen.
Yeah,
And like some of my friends knew my kitchen friends, and they all got along, and that's what I miss about it, right?
yeah.
Like it was great. Like so many different kinds of people and like all these other
Oh
cultures and
yeah, dude.
you know,
So, and I'm gonna.
it's crazy.
So, and I will say this: there's one guy in the kitchen that we worked with, and as I explain him, you might also understand who I'm talking about. And as he potentially listens to this, he'll know I'm talking about him. Is like when I first met him, I thought that this guy was the biggest fucking asshole ever that didn't like anybody. And as I can and we have a great, I think we have a great relationship to this day. And as we started to learn about each other, and dude, once I got to learn, because listen, I know who I am as a person. I know who I am as
Right.
a person. And other people have said this to me, is that when people meet me for the first time, they think I'm really cocky. They think I'm really arrogant because of the way that I conduct myself and the way that
No,
I
you're
speak.
not. No, you're
But
far
then,
from that.
but then they realize that no, this is just him. This is just who he is, and that's it. And they get to understand me a little bit deeper, and they understand me as a person. And we develop great relationships. And the first time I met him, I was like, yo, this guy does not like me. He doesn't like anybody. And over time, I got to realize that he is a great dude with great thoughts, great personality, and a great method of thinking. And it took a while for us to get there. And at the same time, he's absolutely a hilarious dude that'll say some random shit that you can't stop laughing at. And that's a great, like, that's the thing about working in that kitchen environment, is that I met a guy who I thought at that moment in time I would never get along with. And right now, he's a guy that when I go back home, I send him a text message every now and then. I'm like, dude, what are you doing? Where are you? Let's hang out. Let's have a drink. Unfortunately, we haven't been able to coordinate that. Eventually, we will. But like, that's the personalities that you deal with in the back. And if you don't, and this is not just kitchen, this is like real world
Right.
situations, is if you look
It's
at
hard though.
someone and you judge them based off of that first impression, and you don't take the time to get to know them and who they
Yeah.
are, then you limit yourself from a relationship that you could have developed with someone. And I'm very happy that, we went from here to here, because this dude's fucking hilarious.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Through
yeah, yeah.
working with, I don't know if you know who I'm talking about. I don't know if you know
I
who I'm,
might.
you might. I know you.
You might.
I don't know what else I can say, because I don't want to drop names and people
No.
don't know that I'm dropping their name, because I don't want to expose them to that. But
Yeah.
and I think he'll know who I'm talking about when he hears this, because he does listen. Uh, dude, I thought this dude hated me, hated everybody, and then when I got to like get to know him, I was like, oh, okay, you just needed a second to understand who I was. And I found out that this dude is a great fucking dude. And
I
I,
I've I've gone through things like that where I've thought about, okay, this person's a real fucking dick.
yeah.
Like me and him are just gonna fucking, that's it. But I'm not backing down, and and then you sit there and have a smoke with that dude, and you're like, hey, yo, that's why you do certain things, man. You know what I mean? Like people don't know that kind of shit.
Yeah.
Like just sit down and have a talk with somebody.
You
And
never
that's
realize.
exactly my point, and that's how I did it, and that's exactly how I did it. I did like I've seen people act like that, and then all of a sudden like there's a way to go around that. Like
Yeah.
you try not to enforce that, man. It's like who knows what this person grew up like. But anyways,
Yeah.
besides that goddamn fucking point, whatever, it's like that whole of like understanding that person
Mhm.
and who they are and what they're all about. There's there's ways to work with that, and
Yeah.
that's how you can get shit done
You
in the
never
kitchen.
know what kind of relationships that you're going to develop the moment you open your mind.
Yeah, yeah, and then you eventually learn how to like maneuver yourself with these people, and
Yeah.
like not to say these people are like bad or anything, but you understand how they work with their feelings with their jobs. It's
Yeah.
like you tend to learn that, man. Oh yeah,
I-
man. And, like I've seen people freak out, and people are like, "Oh my god, I'm fucking scared, man. Like I'm fucking scared. Like you gotta do something about this shit." And then I go
Listen,
back there, I'm like, "Yo, They're scared of you? Why? Like, why the fuck? No, man.
Listen,
Let's throw
listen.
all
At
that.
the same
Let's
time,
come to
it's
my office.
exactly.
My office wasn't the office, man. My office was out back.
I know
Out
exactly
back
what you're.
down the
I know
stairs around the
exactly.
fucking corner. You
Listen,
know what
it.
I'm talking about? It calm
I know.
everybody fucking down.
I know exactly what you're talking about. And that's who you need to be sometimes. You need to be the manager or the leader who has a formal side, but you have a slight informal side that people can feel comfortable with you and open up to you and let you know what's going on, so you can help change and shift the environment to make it more succinct and make it a better overall team effort.
Yeah. I try not to change people, man. It's if that's how they were back in the kitchen, that's who they
Yeah.
were. And then, like I said, the way I did, I just kind of like maneuvered myself towards that.
Yeah.
It's not like, I mean, there's certain people though you can't fucking work with.
Yeah.
You really can't.
Absolutely.
And then,
The guy that I was
but
about to fight in the cold side.
yeah, man, I almost did it in front of like fucking guests and shit. Like I was about to do like the 1 inch punch kind of deal, you know, like fucking like, well, what is this fool saying, man? And then, like I went in a different mindset with that, and then I was like, yo, kind of got reminded, say,
So Pat, I gotta ask you, if for the people who are watching right now, who number one don't work in a restaurant, and the people who do work in a restaurant but they've never worked back of house, and I'm gonna share mine. I want you to share yours. They never worked back of house. Give me your top 3 to 5 frustrations with the front of house. I know mine. What are yours?
Frustrations in the back of the house. Well, there's a few things, but like from what I remember, what I really fucking hated. I don't know if it was just me. I don't know, but like when you're calling out for food and you've done a good job with that shit,
Yeah.
and you're just sitting there looking at me,
Yeah.
you're calling
Nobody's
out
running
food.
that shit.
No, you know they're around the fucking corner
Talking shit.
talking shit. Yeah, exactly. I hate that shit, man. Like, you know, I'm yelling. What do you want me to do? Yell even more? Like, yeah, that's one of
Yeah,
those
nope, that's up there. Yeah, I agree.
uh,
I agree
like
100% with that
see,
one.
see, I haven't been in the industry for so long, so I kind of like, I won't give you like the top three, but from what I remember, I'll give you that. But when like, I don't know, man, when you're some of the stuff when they're just standing there waiting for something and you're just looking at you.
Like, what the
And
fuck
you know,
what the fuck do you want from me right now? What are you doing here?
exactly. Like, what do you want me to do with it? Like that's the way it is. What do you
How
want
about
me to
this
do?
one? How about this one? When we've run out of something and it's been communicated to everybody, but someone still rings it in. And you and you're just looking at that ticket come in, and you know you don't have that shit.
See,
And
it's
you're
almost, and then you realize that why are they even able to fucking ring that shit in?
right, and you're just like, what the fuck? Who the
yeah.
fuck did this? Who did this?
I don't know, man. I found I got along with the front of the house.
Oh
Probably
yeah,
why I got a
absolutely.
problem.
I got along with everybody, and like I said, I learned that from everyone that I
I don't
worked
know. Maybe that's just my opinion. I don't know if like if you come out, if you're listening to this, and you come
with.
out and
Yeah,
let me know what I did back in the day. Hey, talk about
yeah.
it, man. I love that shit. But yeah,
Listen,
anyway, but I do remember just like being, I don't know, like everywhere, every kitchen that I went to, like I kind of got along with the front of the house
yeah,
people.
you got it. It's a whole team. It's a whole unit. How about this one?
Okay,
I got one for you right here.
let's think.
When like, because I've done this before as a server, and like I always go up to my tables and I'm flat honest, and I tell them, hey man, I fucked up. Your food's gonna take a little bit of time. I'm sorry. But I hate when on the other side that same server fucks up, comes into the kitchen like, I'm gonna need you to rush this.
Yeah.
What do you mean? I'm gonna need you to rush this because I fucked up. I'm sorry. That's not
It's like,
possible.
yeah, and then I find myself doing it, going half-fasting what you're supposed to be putting out, and I
Yeah.
hate it. And it's like, damn, man, you're making me look bad right now, bro.
Yeah. Oh,
Like,
I need this. So do this for me. That was one of like, and when I was like as a server, when I fucked up, my instant go-to was always like, "Hey, guys," because I don't give a shit, dude. I don't give a shit when I was because I'll be very very honest with my table and I'll allow them to leave a review or tip me however they feel they need to. But I'll be very honest with them and say, "Hey, I made a mistake, and because I made a mistake, this is why you're waiting a little bit longer than you need to." But I never went up to the kitchen. I always let the head chef on duty or manager on duty in the
yeah,
kitchen know what's going on, and if he can help me, he can help me. Same thing with our front of house manager. But at the same time, I never went up to the kitchen and say, "Hey, you need to hurry this up because I fucked up." So that was one of my things. In addition to uh, servers who see food up and just take it because they think it's associated with their ticket.
yes, that's a good one. That's an actually good one. I've seen that happen in front of me, in front of my own eyes. But you know what? But I find that certain people that do it, I go back to that whole, okay, I really like this person, so I'm gonna let it go. And then I find myself like getting angrier when certain other people do it, I guess. But like that whole, then again, that whole relationship,
Yeah,
people in the kitchen and all that and shit. That, yeah, I
that
can
was one of
relate to
my
that. I
big.
really actually don't like that. Yeah, yeah, they just take whatever they want and they just like, hey, what are you doing? It wasn't yours. And like, you just like, yeah, when they expect things, they just they have certain standards of you.
Yeah,
Being at the back of the house,
yeah,
they have certain expectations. I don't like
yeah.
expectations of me from other people. It's like, who fucking told you to do that?
I
Like
worked. I worked with a
that's one of
girl.
my pet peeves. Like,
Oh,
because you know how you work, you
yeah,
know exactly how you work hard, whatever. But people take advantage of that,
yeah,
and I don't know. It was a very difficult situation for me because I like certain people, I like a
yeah,
lot of people when
yeah,
I worked in that place. I kind of let things go, but when
yeah,
I didn't, but if I slightly didn't like you, I would show it, but I would do it anyway
yeah,
because in the back of my head I was like, I have to do this.
yeah,
You just, what the fuck is he gonna do? Just
yeah.
stand there and wait for it anyway. So why am I gonna like? You just might as well fucking do it, right? Like,
Yeah,
yeah, but yeah, I can see that irritating me a little bit. Like,
dude. I worked with. This is like there's only one person in my entire life that I've worked with who has done this, and I hope that nobody else does this. But I worked with someone who used to bring their own like raw food from home and ask us to cook it. I'm like no bullshit. Like
do it.
listen, I wish I was making that up, but I'm not.
I've seen people. Yeah, man. I've seen fish heads from home bring over to the restaurant, and I'm like, yeah, I could see why people would get angry and shit or get bothered by it or whatever.
Yeah,
But like, hey, as long as it's like, in my opinion, in my eyes, I'm
yeah,
like, if you're not gonna share that, I swear to fucking God, man. Like, you're gonna get something out of me. Like I'm gonna say something about it. But if you
well,
offer me that food
no,
though,
yeah.
yeah,
I think
it's
that I
good.
mean that's a little bit different when you work in a restaurant, whether you're front of house or back of house, and you bring something in and you want to share it with the entire team. But no, this girl
Yeah,
was like,
but if you just do it on your own,
yeah, she would like
yeah,
order a side dish and off the menu. Like she'd order like a side of rice,
yeah.
and then she would bring her own protein into the restaurant and be like, "Hey, can you cook this
Okay,
protein?"
that's different. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's what she would
You
do.
you have fucking credit, man. Like why? Like, dude, I'm gonna. If you Here's the thing, if you have a good relationship not even a good relationship, any kind of relationship in the back of the house, any positive relationship, if somebody rang in like, okay, can I have a side of chicken with this? Man, to me, I would look for the best piece of chicken that I've seen that day or whatever and give it to you, man. I wouldn't
Yeah.
just get it off from like whatever in the
Dude,
corner,
that's
man. If
that's
you were in the front of the house and you ordered
man,
food, I always made sure that shit was good for you. It was like extra special.
absolutely.
It
Listen,
was fucking extra special, man. That was the thing.
our same mutual friend who, like I said, she taught me what it's like to be in the back of the house. She would do the same thing for everyone. And that's how I approach when I worked in a kitchen, how to cook for the front of the house, is that these are the people that I work with. So I'm going to
Yeah,
make
man.
their food as great as I possibly can to get
And
that
that's yeah,
appreciation
yeah,
from them.
yeah. Exactly, man. Like I remember that. As long as like it didn't really matter to me
Dude,
what
I
you did
work in
at
a
work.
restaurant. I worked in a restaurant recently where I stopped ordering food from the kitchen because our kitchen didn't make food well for the staff. Actually, you know
There
what?
was
That's a
no love, bud.
yeah.
There was no
Unless
care.
unless the head chef was there. The other one they never did. They never did until I like cozied up to them and they got to like me as a person. So when they liked me as a person, they started to produce my food better. But the other place that I worked at, when the head chef was there, he would see food going out and he didn't care who, like if it's food coming out of his kitchen, he's going to make sure it comes out good. And once he left, they didn't care anymore. So I appreciate him for that.
See, I
But
remember.
I don't like working front of house and ordering my food because I'm still a paying customer, whether at the end of
Yeah,
the day.
yeah. I remember like even though like you have don't have a strong relationship with other people, whatever. What I see is when 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 a front of the house orders food, it's always the same outcome for me. Like that person, whoever's making that food for that front of the house person, there's more extra care in that. I think
Yeah,
there's more love
absolutely.
into it, right? Like because at the end of the day, you know that person, right? And
Yeah,
they trust you to cook their food for you. Like
that's what
that's big enough.
every person that
That's
comes into the restaurant, that's what they're entrusting you to do.
that's exactly it, right? Like yeah, man, I miss those relationships, man. It was fun. It was really fun, and it was it's good experiences that you can learn from. You know, it's really good.
Absolutely. Every
Yeah, yeah,
listen,
yeah,
everything. I think so. You know where we first met. That was my first exposure to back of house lifestyle and and living in that or working in that environment. And everything that I took from that particular location, I've taken it with me as I've moved forward. And like I said, man, you start to find that certain elements of the industry are losing what we particularly had in that environment. I can't say that all environments were like that, but in that particular environment, I've never been able to replicate that.
yeah. It was like it was more of a family. It was like in that environment, like you knew everyone's relationship inside and outside of that
Yeah.
restaurant. It was like
And I listen, it was hectic, it was dramatic, but it brought us all close together. And I think that, you know, in my experience, there's a lot of people from that, you know, that place that I still communicate with today.
oh yeah, like a lot
I
of
don't
those people are still like
yeah, I don't know how
we
many of
talk.
them still talk, but I know a lot of them. I know some of them still talk. You know, I would extend to anybody who works in a restaurant today to say, hey, if you don't have good synergy as a team, if you guys don't enjoy each other's presence, then you're not going to enjoy work and you're not going to get things done effectively.
Well, those relationships are really strong. You know what I mean? Like being
Yeah.
in that kind of environment, like it kind of builds your like personal skills and it, like with people and like builds like character in you because like it's really tough in a kitchen to be honest with you.
Yeah.
In
Listen.
some environments, like the chef is like yelling at you and shit like that. You gotta take
Yeah.
that kind of shit. And it's like,
It was the first environment that I learned that sometimes people will lose their shit on you, but they still don't hate you. They still
no,
like you. They still want to be your friend, but at that very moment, they're going to lose their shit on you. And from there, you can realize that either you realize that I fucked up, or you want to stick to your point and understand that you're, you know,
buddy,
swallow side.
relationships where I've sat there and worked with them and go like, yo, what the hell are you doing, man? Like you're completely a fucking idiot. Like
Yeah.
you're a complete fucking idiot. And then
Uh,
after work, I'm sitting in a restaurant with him going, I'm sharing food with this guy, and at the end of the day, I can forget about that because I know in the back of my head, like I have that bond with that guy.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
That ability to look at that person and
and
say,
just
hey,
yeah,
yeah,
I've
dude,
worked
that
with enough people where I fucking hate you in the kitchen, but like at the end of the day, you're actually okay.
yeah. It's hard. A lot of people don't know how to
It's a
separate that.
skill, man. It's a skill.
A
Like
lot
I
of,
could sit
yeah.
there at the end of the day, I could sit there and have a meal with you.
Yeah,
Working with you sucks, and I gotta put up with
absolutely.
you in a kitchen environment. I don't know about any other environment, but
I think a lot of the people, like I said, there's a lot of people that we worked with at that time of, if they ever called me up and say, hey, you want to hang out, 100% I'll hang out with them. 100%.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, me too, 100%. Yeah,
No
for
matter
sure.
what.
So with my time in that place, like I had some really good what I can
Memories.
remember, like memories, man. Like yeah, exactly. I can remember like all the good times I had in that place,
Yeah.
good and bad. Like
Oh,
it's a good
absolutely.
chunk of my life before I had a family and stuff. There's a good chunk of my life where like a lot of that what I remember was fun in that place. You know, like I
Yeah.
said, this is the first place where I could bring my people into my workplace, and yeah, it was good. It was very open and it was great. You learn from a lot of people and build your character, and hopefully some of those people like are still talking to each other. I'm pretty
Oh,
sure they are.
100%. I'm
Yeah, but
100%. There is a solid group of people that still talk to each other.
oh yeah, for sure.
I believe that. I mean, I talk to people and they tell me they still talk to other people, so that's pretty
Yeah,
cool. And that's the importance of working in an environment where everybody's on the same page, or everybody at least at
yeah.
some point understands each other and gets along as individuals, so that when we freak out on each other for work shit, we can still come to an understanding and an agreement that
One
we.
of them's a godparent of my kids, and like still around. I see her once a year, man. All right, she's still around. I know who
Oh,
she is. I see you.
we love her
She's
though.
probably gonna fucking yeah, man. Talk about kids. Fucking, it was good chat, man. But I gotta run.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
We've been doing this for a minute. Listen,
yeah,
Pat,
yeah, yeah.
I
I just
can't wait
realized
until you come back on this podcast. We got a lot of things to talk about. There's
lots to talk about.
a little bit more
Next time, I
restaurants,
want to
some
talk to you about
football.
like like fucking farming and stuff and all this other
Oh,
shit.
because you saw that garden thing that I'm doing. And,
Buddy, I gotta talk to you about that kind of stuff, man. Because
dude,
like
let's
I'm
do it.
learning about right now. I'm learning about living soil. I'm learning about like growing like not the traditional way, but like
Yeah,
sustainable way. And
yeah.
like I'm learning about like just preparing for next year's fucking grow and all this other shit. Man,
Dude. And you
like
have your own thing. Whenever you're getting your podcast started, I'll definitely be on it. And I
yeah,
definitely
yeah, yeah,
once we get that going, let the people know where they can find you. You can come
yeah.
back
And like
and promote yourself
it's
anytime.
gonna be soon, man. I'm gonna be working on it. Like I said, like fucking this coming up season, I want to start going on, but like I got some other things to take care of. But like there's
Listen, you got
a
to get
lot of
on here and
ideas
talk
thrown
football
out
with
at me.
me. You got to talk football with me and my
Yeah, man.
friends.
Next time for sure. You know, Ravens for life.
You got to be part of the
Please.
draft.
Right, right there, man. Not bad for running back. Lamar
listen,
Jackson, baby. I'm telling
listen,
you.
we're gonna
Lots
have.
to talk about.
I'm gonna
Lots to talk
bring
about.
everybody that all my friends who are guests on this podcast. I want to do a thing where we're all going to be in a fantasy league together, and we're going to have one episode where we host the draft.
With the draft, yes, I am absolutely 100% down. If we can at least get like maybe 8 people,
Don't worry about that.
that would be
Don't worry
good.
about people. Trust me. At some
No,
point, there are
I
going to
trust
be
you, man.
people.
Trust me.
Trust me. There is enough people who are going to say to themselves, "Yo, let me be part of the fantasy league." I'm like,
Yes.
we're full. We're
Yeah,
full.
bud. But yeah, yeah, yeah. But I'm telling you, man, I've been playing fantasy league for a while now, and like it's frustrating. It's another way of life, bro.
Listen, one of my
Even my
friends
wife
who
got
also
into it.
watches this podcast had to take a step away from fantasy football. He's 2 years out. He's 2 years out. He's never
Oh,
coming
for
back.
real, he had to step away.
He had to step away.
Yeah,
And
it gets
I'm a terrible
heartbreaking, man.
friend. I'm
It
a
gets
terrible
heartbreaking.
friend because I recently texted him and I'm saying, hey, everybody who's going to be on the podcast is going to be part of this fantasy football league. I'm a terrible
Yeah.
friend. I'm throwing temptation at him right now,
Hey, man, it's one
and
of those
I got
things,
so
and
much love for
that's
him. He's one of my closest friends out here
right.
in Boston, and I'm throwing temptation at him, saying, "Hey, man, but this fantasy football league."
Yeah, man, and you know what? Like people, like I got a group of my friends at work who do
Yeah,
fantasy leagues, and I'm in it and stuff like that, even outside of work. But
yeah.
when you get like other people who don't even watch football to get into fantasy football, it's like that's when it gets heavy, man. Like I remember one year,
It breaks up families and
not last
friendships.
year, but like yeah. But last year, like not even last year, 2 years ago, my wife was in the league, and I was like, okay, I'll go in the league with you. So I
Yeah.
went in there, and she was right in second place, man, and she had no idea what fucking football was. Like, but she's like, I'm into the stats, Pat. I'm into stats, and she would sit there and read all the shit,
Yeah.
and then do the math. I'm in
Because she's
second place.
smart. Because she's
Not
smart.
me,
She's
her.
smarter than the rest of us. She's smart. She's following trends and patterns. We're just like
See,
picking
see,
players that
our
we like.
problem is we're biased to certain players and
Yeah.
certain
We like certain
and
players and we
certain
want those
yeah.
guys on our team. She's just looking at
Oh
numbers and
yeah,
thinking that.
yeah, man. That's another
Perfect.
talk, man.
That's another topic.
Signing,
Hey, Pat, thank you for coming out. I
yeah,
can't wait.
man.
This is going to publish. Thank you for being part of it. I can't wait to do more content with you. Maybe we'll talk restaurants. Maybe we'll talk just general life and maybe in fantasy
Just talk,
football. You're going to be on my football show,
talk
man.
shit, talk life. Oh, buddy, I got so much to talk about football. Like football to me, it's
Uh-huh.
almost obsessive. Trust
Uh-huh.
me, you're gonna learn everything, man.
All the people who are watching this who hate the Ravens they're gonna love
Oh,
watching you.
I'll be running all over them right now, bud. I don't know.
All
I don't
right.
know, buddy. Certain
It's good
someone's
to
gonna
have
be
you,
running all
man.
over this season.
It's good to have you.
Anyways, but yeah, peace. Good to have you too, man. Later.
Later.